The Champ Car World Series has been racing at Long Beach since 1984 when Mario Andretti went to victory lane. Today, the stars of the sport are ready for the second race of the season after Will Powers stole the show at Vegas. Last week, the streets of Las Vegas echoed with Will Powers. The World Series kicked off the 2007 season, and at the checkered flag, Will Power had KO'd all challengers. Despite Will Power's dominance, there is a field full of headstrong heroes looking to take him on as Champ Car's best do battle in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. NBC Sports presents the 2007 Champ Car World Series. Today, it's the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. The green flag less than 10 minutes away. Off the win at Vegas, 26-year-old Will Power starts this race on the front row, next to pole sitter Sebastian Bourdais. But the big story is the man who is not in the field. Here's Marty Snyder.
And Bill, that missing man is former series champion and series star Paul Tracy, the Canadian driver. Yesterday, during qualifying, was leaving pit road on cold tires when exit of turn one, lost control of his race car. You can see he nosed it right into the wall, rode on the wall for a little while, and then had a hard impact when he came back down the racetrack. He was taken to a local hospital, diagnosed with a compression fracture in his lower back before he left for his home in Las Vegas. I asked him yesterday, what's the long-term prognosis?
I talked to Dr. Pendersky, and you know, he's basically saying, you know, it's 3 months is the healing time on it. So he advised me to go see Dr. Trammell this week, and then try to get on a physical therapy program, and you know, hopefully we can speed that up. But you know, the initial prognosis is about 3 months.
And I talked to the Tracy camp this morning. That appointment is now scheduled for Tuesday. Tracy will fly from Las Vegas to Indianapolis for that prognosis appointment, trying to figure out what the long-term future is for him. Meanwhile, this weekend and probably next weekend as well, Oriol Servia will fill in the car, in the number 3 car. He told me he's very happy to have the ride, but doesn't like the situation in which it came from.
As a driver, you don't want any driver, you know, in general to get hurt. So that's bad. I mean, the good thing is not too bad. I mean, he's going to be okay in a couple of months or so. But for me, it's a huge break. You know, I mean, I've been trying to get a good ride for the all off season. I was actually talking to the Foresight team for a while. We're trying to put something together. It just didn't happen in time. So I'm just really glad they put me in the car, and they trust me that I'll do a good job for them.
Well, speaking of a good job, as the cars set out from the grid out onto the pace lap, one driver looking to get a good job in is Sebastian Bourdais, the 3-time Champ Car champion. Last week in Las Vegas, nothing but trouble. He qualified worse than he ever has before in Champ Car, but now he is back to familiar territory. He is on the pole. Remember, he won 5 of his 7 races from the pole last year.
Yeah, it definitely feels great for the Magnus team to be back here on the pole in Long Beach after, like you said, a terrible weekend in Vegas. So we start from the pole, and we've got a good car, so hopefully we'll have a flawless weekend.
Back again this year, can he win it from the pole again?
There is a tremendous rookie crop this year in the Champ Car World Series, but the rookie everybody was talking about last week was Robert Dornbos, driving the number 14 Minardi Team USA car. He not only qualified second, he ran a great race and finished second last week in his first Champ Car start. Let's go to Michelle Bud. Back to the booth.
Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dallenbach and Jan Vikas. Thanks for having us in for the race. You guys have both raced for a long time. Your thoughts on the Paul Tracy situation?
Well, it's a huge story. I mean, you know, as competitors, when you're on the racetrack, you don't like each other, but we're all buddies out there. When you hear a fellow driver has gotten hurt, your first thing is you want to see how bad he is hurt and if he's going to get back and if things are okay. The second thing that comes to mind, though, when you're a competitor, and this is for real, is, well, good. That's one last guy I got to worry about the championship. That's one last guy I got to worry about passing on the race. So, although we're looking out for each other and we care for each other, you know, you're always looking for that advantage. I don't know if you see it that way, Jan. I know as most people know you're a much nicer person than I am.
Well, when I think about Paul Tracy, the one thing that reminds me of Paul Tracy, he is one of the few drivers who has Sebastian Bourdais' number. So if you want to keep Sebastian Bourdais from winning the championship 4 straight times, what do? You need a changing of the guard. I think that that's Will Power. He dominated in Las Vegas, but he dominated when we saw Sebastian in trouble. Today, Sebastian's right on top of it.
Bourdais and Power on the front row. Let's take a look at the streets of Long Beach for today's race.
Long Beach is an awesome racetrack in a Champ Car. Going down the main straightaway, it's 180 miles an hour in 7th gear. You jump on the brakes, go down to 75. Turn 1 is 3rd gear, then around the fountain, down to 45 through the rhythm section, the back straightaway. Awesome place to pass, 170 miles an hour, dive into turn 9, an awesome place to pass, and of course the signature turn, the hairpin, leading back to start-finish.
And guys, anytime you have a very long straightaway where you can get up to about 180 miles an hour and then a very narrow left-hand first corner, you're going to have problems. Check out last year's race. 4 cars were taken out in turn 1. They didn't make it to turn 2 of this race last year. I asked Will Power, what's the key to avoiding that this year? He said there's only one way to avoid it. Do a single file start. And Bill, we know that wouldn't be fun for anyone, would it?
It certainly wouldn't, Marty. Certainly wouldn't. And these competitors have been discussing the start and the first turn of this race basically since you got here earlier this week. Take a look at our onboard cameras. There's Oreo Servia. Actually, I believe that looks like Graham Rahal's car. Graham Rahal.
Good call there, Bill. You're catching on to this.
I'm working on this. Graham, who really is looking at this as his very first race because he didn't even complete a green flag lap at Las Vegas 1 week ago. See the starting grid at the top of your screen. 17 cars in the field. On board now with Justin Wilson. He starts 7th today. That's CDW machine.
Cool shot.
And there's Servia driving Paul Tracy's car. Tracy again out for 3 months.
Now they're still trying to attempt the staggered start, right, Jan? But as we both know, they threw it.
That wasn't exactly what they were looking for.
That was pretty sloppy. But maybe we can get through turn 1 cleanly.
Bourdais in the McDonald's machine. Then the green and gold of Will Power.
I think that probably caught a lot of guys off guard there, Jan, that they threw that green, because I know there's guys still coming out of the hairpin here that were trying to catch up to get in position.
What they were working on is they wanted, obviously, 2x2, 2 car lengths between cars with a somewhat staggered start, which is new for this year, and I believe that's getting the cars in the positions that they'll be down the road here when you have a standing start. But obviously, I know the Champ Car would have wanted to have a lot more cars on the front straightaway, but you know what? The fact that so far every car has made it through those first tricky bits of the racetrack, I think that's still a win.
Bourdais, then Will Power, then Alex Tagliani in that red and black machine. Where he runs 3rd. Then the rookie, Simone Pagenaud in the 4th position.
Talked to Tag this morning. He was pretty excited about this race today. They really feel like they're gaining on this deal, and he was in the car adjusting pedals and things right there at the last minute. But he was pretty pumped, Michelle.
Yes, he was, and I actually spoke with him this morning. He said that they were having some problem with the brake bias, that the bias seemed to be automatically adjusting to the rear of the car, and that they were going to work on that. So we'll see how that pans out.
Thanks, Michelle. Justin Wilson really trying to make a move there.
Look at how tight the streets are here at Long Beach compared to last week at Las Vegas. You've got places to pass here. There's no question about it, but it is a lot narrower.
It's Robert Durenboss in front of him. The white wing. That's Wilson in the 9. Alex Figge with an early pit stop.
Boy, these guys have had a lot of trouble the last couple of weeks. It just seems like all these little gremlins are biting them, and you know, I talked to those guys this morning too, and they're starting to come around, but I think they underestimated how tough this was going to really be.
That they were replacing, you may have noticed, did not have a front wing, so Alex Figge obviously had some contact with something out there. They'll get that chased and get him back out, but as you can see, the leader's down the front straightaway. Figge will go down a lap.
On board with Graham Rahal, the 18-year-old rookie. When I talked to him yesterday after practice, he really said, "It's going to be my first Champ Car race," after he hit the wall on the first green flag lap at Vegas last Sunday. Said he put that immediately behind him and immediately began looking forward to the next race, not worrying about what had already happened.
And that's kind of the Newman-Haas-Lanigan. Have to add, remember, Newman-Haas we've become so familiar with. There's a three-partner group now. Newman-Haas-Lanigan, this team. I really feel that when you spoke with them for both Graham Rahal and Sebastian Bourdais, that they have relaxed. They realized they were panicking a little bit when things didn't go their way in Vegas. They're so used to everything going their way. Everyone, including the drivers, has eased up. Cameron?
Well, Jan, I can definitely tell you after talking to Graham Rahal, very frustrated from Las Vegas. But the important thing you wanted to note was that the team isn't forcing him to use settings that Sebastian uses. He says a lot of times when you join a team that has championships and wins, they want you to run what the other drivers are running. Graham said, I've just been thrilled that they are working with me on what I want to set up the car like. Even though I haven't got it totally dialed in, I feel really comfortable with the way they're setting things up.
Yeah, you've got to have the car comfortable for you. I mean, it doesn't do you any good if you're driving somebody else's setups and it doesn't work for you. You can have two of the fastest guys in any racing series out there, and they're going to be two totally different setups. It's just really driver feel and what the driver's looking for and the way that car handles for him.
Oriol Servia in Paul Tracy's ride, that blue and white machine, the 3-car.
Now, that car right there, I mean, Servia said this morning that he liked the way Paul Tracy's setup was. He says, I like the way the car. He says, I never changed anything.
Well, Paul Tracy is very, very good at setting up race cars, as well as the Forsythe team. And when the car is right and your driving style is similar, but in the case of Rahal and Sebastian Bourdais, their driving styles aren't similar. But in this case, it looks like Servia's is.
More from Marty Snutter.
Hey guys, and that's one thing Oriol told me this morning. He said, you know, when I sat in the car, I was a little wondering or worried about what the setup would feel to me. He said, I was amazed, as you guys said, it was pretty much right on. We have not turned a screw in this car for me. It's really me getting more comfortable. The one thing they're interested in, the pit stops. They practiced them all morning today in warm-ups because on his first try, he overshot the pits by 3 feet. So they're going to pay attention to those today during the race as well.
And that's something else we'll have to watch for from Graham Rahal, because he'll basically be making his first pit stop in Champ Car competition today.
They've had an opportunity to do some pit stops with Graham in the offseason, but there is a huge difference, Bill. I think it's a great point. A huge difference doing pit stop in practice versus doing one in competition, because your heart rate is just to the limit.
Tagliani in the red car, then Pagenaud in that green and gold, then Rahal. The light blue with the white trim. Sebastian Bourdais started on the pole next to Will Power. That's how they run here in the early minutes of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. It's Bourdais, Power, Tagliani, Pagenaud, and Graham Rahal. You're watching the Champ Car World Series live on NBC. NBC Sports coverage of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. And by Bridgestone. For drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. Want to thank the city of Long Beach for providing today's aerial coverage, and it has just been a blast being here this week. Just a little breezy, a little cooler than usual, but the weather's been outstanding, and just great scenery all around the track, so much to do. So just as one fan put it, it's the best party of the year right here at Long Beach. Sebastian Bourdais at the head of the class right now, followed by Will Power and Alex Tagliani.
Tell you what, Will Power's been putting in some pretty good laps here. I've been watching the monitor here on the timing and scoring, and Will Power's been fast. The last couple laps, he's been a little bit quicker than Bourdais, so we'll see if he's can get up there and make a challenge for the lead.
Let's check in with Bill Stevens.
This is exactly the kind of run that Sebastian Bourdais and his team wanted here this weekend. Of course, last weekend we talked a lot about all the problems they had. They were scheduled to test in Phoenix on Monday. They had their travel all set. They were ready to go, and then they realized they had no cars to test. They were all damaged last week in Las Vegas, so instead of testing cars, they were repairing them.
And it was a couple of 12-hour days for both the McDonald's team and for Graham Rahal's team. Rahal's car with much more damage, of course, than Bourdais, but a couple of long days for those teams getting those cars ready to get here. And then, of course, working here Thursday and Friday as well once they hit the track on Friday.
Take a look at Servia there. Driver for Paul Tracy. Oh, in the wall.
That would be Dominguez. because that would be the other team car, because we were looking back at Oriol Servia. And in fact,
full course yellow.
Just stay there. Ooh, come on. When we see what the damage is, come on in the pits.
And the drivers are told if they're okay to put the visor up. That is the sign to the safety team, so we will take that as good news for Mario Dominguez.
This is in turn 9. Hard impact. Let's go back and take a look.
Whoa, he's already backwards.
That could have been a too much brake to the rear type thing, because he was backwards going into the corner like he had jumped on the brakes and the car got away from him.
And we had a report from the pits that some people have brake bias going to the rear. That could be what could happen.
Safety crew is there. Disappointment early for Mario Dominguez. Sebastian Bourdais leads the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach on NBC. Talked about all the fun stuff going on here this weekend in Long Beach. How about the 31st annual Toyota Pro Celebrity Race? Some stars from television and the entertainment world. Hugh Hefner, the Grand Marshal. And then they drop the green flag. Celebrities starting about 10 seconds ahead of the pro drivers. There were some exciting moments during this event, including George Lucas gets a tap. And they're into the wall. But the checkered flag came out, and here are the winners.
I'm here with the 2 winners of the Toyota Pro Celebrity Grand Prix. Mike Skinner, a familiar face, the NASCAR star over there. The celebrity winner is Dave Mirra, wire to wire. Nice shot.
Thank you. You know what? It was all about getting a good start ahead of Martina, getting a little breathing room and keeping it on the track, and that seemed to work out.
Good going.
Thanks.
And that's Les Unger, the Toyota National Motorsports Manager, with the winners in victory lane. Pit stops, Marty Snyder.
Oriol Servia hits pit road. It'll be 4 tires. The car had a little bit of understeer, but not enough to make a change to it. No chassis changes. They're hoping they get it full of fuel. They had a fueling issue on this car last week. 4 brand new tires.
So selected teams making pit stops under the first caution flag of the Toyota Grand Prix here in Long Beach. Bill Stevens.
Down here in Sebastian Bourdais' pit, you see his crew members all gathered around here. There's a piece of equipment back here underneath this cabinet. It's an air supply, and it has air regulators in there. And just a moment ago, there was a problem, and one of the airlines started leaking and sending everybody scattered in all directions. As you can see, the crew is working on a piece of equipment now that should fix this thing, but that's a vital part of this whole pit operation down here, being able to use this to inflate the tires to the proper inflation pressures.
And what they're looking at there, that is the air jack that goes into the back of the car. It's plugged into a nitrogen bottle, which is what, if you have a leak in a nitrogen bottle, it can be dangerous, and that will make you scramble. They have spares down there. Should be okay now, Bill.
Now it's time for the CDW Virtual Pit Stop, where you, the viewer, try to make the right call. Today's question, who will earn Rookie of the Year honors? Rahal, Pagenaud, or Johnny? Using a mobile phone, text A for Rahal, B for Pagenaud, or C for Johnny to 55333. Each text costs 50 cents. Let's check in with Michelle.
Hey guys, I talked with Derek Walker, who mentioned that they would need 2 to 3 laps of yellow for this to be a 2-stop race, and it looks as though that could be happening.
Thanks, Michelle. Green flag back in the air at Long Beach.
And here comes Tagliani. He's going for second in the black and red. Awesome restart for Alex Tagliani.
Heading down into that tight turn 1. Will Power thinking about making the move on the inside, but
and look at Rahal.
Good move. Nice move.
Graham Rahal.
I would think some of those push to passes were going on there.
Absolutely. The old Cosworth power to pass is 50 more horsepower by giving additional turbo boost. You get some extra RPM as well, and restart's a fantastic time, but you only get 60 seconds in a race. In this particular instance, the best time to use it's on a restart.
Exactly. Because if you can catch that guy sleeping in front of you just a little bit, that's the easiest pass you'll make the whole race.
Let's talk a little bit about this street circuit. Really narrow, as you guys have mentioned, very bumpy, and really need to get through the rhythm portion of this very smoothly. See if we can't jump on board here with Justin Wilson.
Turn number 9, that's 75, then you're about 100 miles an hour through here, down to the chicane. First gear, 30 miles an hour. It's not very often you take a Champ Car down to 30 miles an hour, and then you hit the hammer. It's like being shot out of a slingshot here down the main straightaway.
And you can see how far he had his hands turned over. That corner is very, very tight. And you actually cross over, and extra arms, you have to turn the wheel so far.
Graham Rahal runs in the 5th position. Let's go back and watch him make this move.
It's a case where he actually got off. He got off the hairpin better, and it was a case where Dornbos was trying to get it back. So that would definitely most likely be a Cosworth power to pass type of thing, because he had the move done way before he got down to turn 1.
That's a gutsy move for an 18-year-old rookie, isn't it?
You know, but racing is race. I'd say right now that Graham Rahal is as relaxed as he has been all year, because he didn't get any, like you said, no in Las Vegas because he crashed on the start. But now, yes, the car's bigger, the car's faster, but now he's doing what he's done practically since he was born, and that is just doing the thing, just in a bigger car.
His dad, a 3-time series champion, former Indy 500 winner Bobby Rahal. Check down on pit road.
Well, guys, checked in with Derek Walker, the team owner for Will Power. You see there in the number 5 car tooling around the racetrack. The strategy for them today, as it will be with many teams, try and make this a 2-stop race. Stretch out that fuel as long as you can. As Derek told me, the key today will be how fast can you run a lap and save fuel at the same time.
There you go. I'm not asking you guys to do anything. I just want you to go as fast as you can and not use any fuel.
I hate when they ask you to do that, because I don't know how to do it.
The way you do it is you get to the end of the straightaways and you ease off the power gently before you get onto the brakes. That's one of the methods. And in the middle of the corners, especially some of these slowers, you just never want to stab the throttle. Never pop, 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 pop. You have to be just really smooth and feeding in the power.
Yeah, but Marty didn't throw in the part about you're not supposed to get past either when you're doing that.
Yeah.
There are the two teams.
Derek threw in that part to me, guys. Don't get past, but save fuel for me, okay?
Work on that, Marty, would you?
I'm all over it, Weber.
Thank you, sir. That's Will Power, Mr. Stevens.
You know, I talked to Will Power this morning, and he's such an engaging young man. He's just a flatliner, never gets excited, same sentiment. I asked him, what was his last week like after that first big victory? He said, I can't believe how many interview requests I got from back in Australia. Every time I turned around, my cell phone was ringing.
Big win for Will Power. Let's watch the race and check in with Michelle.
All right, you guys, somebody that we're very happy to see roaming the pits is Cristiano D'Amato, who suffered a season-ending injury last year, but you look fantastic. Tell me, how are you feeling?
I feel I'm ready to go back to the race car. Of course, I'm in touch with my doctors all the time, and I've been in touch with them. Of course, I try to be as fortunate as I can. I think I've already been fortunate to recover so quick from the whole thing. But one thing I keep on thinking right now is, like, they allowed me to ride my mountain bike, so the race car cannot be too far away. You know, the race car must be close.
I like that answer. Thanks a lot, guys. Back to you.
Thanks, Michelle.
I tell you what, I hope he gets back in a race car, because he's a race car driver. That guy's a shoe. He's fun to watch.
And he was involved in a very freak accident a year ago, John.
Testing at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and hit a deer that ran across the track, and it was a critical head injury for him. He is actually flying back to Wisconsin, to that very hospital on Tuesday, to get checked out by the doctors to find out how long they think his recovery will be. Now, he's recovered, but in order for him to get in a race car, they have to do scans and be sure that if he took another impact, he'd be okay.
A couple of rookies here on board with Graham Rahal, looking forward at Simone Pagenaud.
Rahal looks to me like he's a little bit quicker than Pagenaud right now, but you got to make the pass. So he's trying to set him up. There's a couple places here you want to be right on the guy's hill, Jan, and be as close as you can, and then make that out braking like on the hairpin.
And while you were speaking, if you were listening to Graham, he's also in fuel conservation, because as he approached that corner, there was a moment when he was easing off the throttle but wasn't on the brakes. So quite a few of these guys, again, they have plenty of fuel to make it to the end of the race, but if you can save a little, you can do more laps before you make that pit stop.
On board with Oriol Servia, driving for Paul Tracy, who again out for 3 months after being injured here on Saturday. Want more Champ Car race action? Subscribe to Race Director. Just go to www.champcar.ws. and choose from 6 different camera angles. And while you listen to the team radio communications and view live telemetry, all on your home computer.
And that was Survey. We were listening into Survey, couldn't hear just the end, but he was calling to Neil Mickelwright with some information about the car. And what you do on the straightaway, as you get a read on the car, even though we're a long way from pit stops, they want to call in and say what the attitude of the car is so the engineers can plan what to change during the pit stop. Marty?
That's exactly right, Jan. And while he had a second to breathe, what he came on the radio to say was, guys, the car has now gone to a push situation, meaning a little bit of an understeer. Remember, when he came in for the pit stop, he had a little bit of an oversteer, meaning the car wanted to slide around a little bit. So now that's transitioned over to a tighter condition.
Heading down the long straightaway here.
Well, they made the right move. They just went a little bit too far.
And it changes on the fuel load. Your car traditionally, when you're heavy on fuel, wants to go straight, doesn't want to turn. That's the understeer condition. And as it burns off and the tires get more heat in them, they do tend to get loose.
Alex Tagliani runs second. Then it's Will Power and his teammate Simone Pagenaud. Third and fourth, that's Tags in the red and black machine. Then Power, then Pagenaud. Alex, fourth a week ago at Las Vegas, was third here last year and 15th in 2005. More from Bill.
Down here with Paul Gentilozzi, who runs the show for Alex Tagliani. I noticed during practice this weekend a lot of work on spring packages, handling. Have you had a chance to evaluate the car? It's running well, but are you happy with what it's doing?
No, he's made a good race car. You know, Alex never needs a note from home to be aggressive. So he's taken a couple positions. Right now we're working on fuel economy. The car's balanced. We're in pretty good shape.
Thanks a lot, Paul. Remember last week in Las Vegas, they had a miscalculation. They gambled on fuel, and it may have cost them the victory in Las Vegas.
John, you want to try and set us up for this. It's an hour and 40-minute race. These teams know about how far they can go, but it's based on what the clock is doing and how much fuel you're using.
Correct. So you will make a pit window. They know that they can go 30 or 31 laps on a load of fuel, which is 35 gallons. So when they're telling a driver to save some fuel, that would mean that Alex at the moment could go 30 laps, but if he saves a little, he could go 31. And if he does so, it would be a 2-stop race. And I think for all the front runners, you really don't want to make 3, even under a caution. They really want to try and stay on a 2-stop strategy. And a move there as Oriole continues to work forward.
Got around Matt Holliday there. It's actually, it looks like Alex Johnny.
It's actually Tristan Gomandi, but
well,
that's okay.
That's all right. That's why you're here.
And Neil Johnny is, however, right behind him. So these are a couple European guys. And when you talk about the track being bumpy, when you talk to those that come from Europe, it blows their mind. They said this American style of racing, of being on a bumpy track, jumping all over the place, is crazy. But it's a new technique. You have to learn how the car works across the bumps.
Here's the move. Servia on the right-hand side makes the move inside. And just to finish the point about 2 stops, you think everybody's right on the edge of being able to do it on just 2.
And every bit of yellow flag you get, it makes your job easier. So if we get some more caution periods, we will, in fact, be much easier. But at this point, you definitely want to be saving a little bit of fuel.
Sebastian Bourdais leads by 3.5. There's Servia, again driving for Paul Tracy, injured here Saturday. Expected to be out for 3 months. We'll see a doctor next week in Indianapolis.
And he was talking this morning about just, getting back into the rhythm here, just picking his way through. Like I said, he was happy with the car, the way the car handled everything, but the time was in him, not the race car, that he was having to find a little bit of time. The more he ran, a little bit quicker and quicker he got.
What's interesting, if the time is in you don't know what's wrong with the car. In other words, until you get the car to the limit, you couldn't tell them what to change anyway. You have to take it to the limit and say, oh, well, the front gives up or the rear gives up. But until you get yourself up to the level of the car, you pretty much say, hey, leave it alone because I have no idea.
Exactly, and that's exactly pretty much what he was saying.
And he's a former series runner-up in the point standings in really good equipment today.
Target 40.
think he said.
That was a fuel target of 40, and they're starting to use code now because they know we can. Because a lot of times they would go by miles per gallon. If we hear they're doing 1.72 or their target's 1.74, we know what it means. But that is one of the code numbers they use. In the meantime, let's get down to Marty.
Well, Jan, they will talk constantly in code, as you said. That's what Derek Walker told me this morning. He said the 2 cautions, what they needed was 2 cautions for at least 5 laps to be able to make it a 2-stop race. You guys were talking about Oriol Servia a minute ago. He said, you know, I learned when I did the Newman-Haas-Lanigan thing. He said, when I got into a fast car, it should be fast. So I should be fast. I should be equal to what the car can do. So it shouldn't be about me. It should be about what the car is able to do, not what I'm able to do.
You're talking in code, Wally.
Well, I don't hear well. I thought he said the car was sporty. So if they can't hear really well, then they're not have to worry about me stealing their secrets.
Bill.
Well, they are watching Graham Rahal's performance very carefully down here in his pit because this morning there was an engine problem with that race car, and they debated whether or not to change the engine. They went back and forth, decided to stay with the engine that's in it. It was a very hopeful sign earlier in the race when we saw him make that pass.
28-year-old Sebastian Bourdais out front here in the Grand Prix of Long Beach. We'll be back in a moment with more from the Champ Car World Series after these messages and a word from our local NBC stations. The stars, the cars, and the fans of the Champ Car World Series live at Long Beach on NBC. Sebastian Bourdais is the race leader in Hockey Town. Tradition fuels the desire. The Canada Dominator, Dominic Hasek, and the Red Wings douse the Flames' destiny. It's next Saturday, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. The Wings winning today, up 2-1. And Bourdais is going for his 3rd straight win here. Led 70 of 74 laps a year ago.
That's about a 6-second lead right now Bourdais has over Tagliani.
Then it's Power, Pagenaud, and Rahal.
That's a fantastic representation of having the field covered. I mean, you see Sebastian Bourdais off just completely clear road. Then we drop back and see everyone just struggling, working, clawing, all about the same speed. But Sebastian really in a class of his own. And that's what we talked about in the Open. Someone has to step up in Paul Tracy's shoes and rattle Sebastian. When he runs at the front, he's unstoppable. You have to give him some pressure. And that's what happened in Vegas. He was under pressure and things went wrong. When he's out front, he's very tough to beat.
Trying to become a 4-time champion of the Champ Car World Series and win this race for the 3rd straight year. There's the rookie Rahal on board with him.
And watch his hands. So Wally and I have been watching all. Look at that. Takes one hand off completely and rotates it around and crosses over because there's so much steering lock.
Okay, take a lap with him.
But let's listen when he gets down to the braking area. Let's see if he's saving fuel. Okay, saving more fuel on the back straightaway than he is. He's going ahead and running it right down into turn 1. And at the very center of his steering wheel, when he straightens it up, right in through here, has his fuel number. On the radio and say, we need 40, we need 40. He has an LED right at the top of the steering wheel. But I listened to him back off early here. Ooh, okay, he's changed.
Yeah, you know what?
He's not backing off early. He's decided that what he wants to do, he wants to go after Pagenaud. So he has stopped saving fuel. Now he's ramping it up.
And getting pressure from behind.
Yeah, I think he started catching Pagenaud and then he started running a little harder, which is what you're going to do. It's human nature. But now he's got his mirrors full. That's Dornbos behind him.
Off the spectacular run a week ago, Robert Dornbos, 2nd at Vegas.
And Dornbos would be close because we were riding with Graham when he got the thing.
L3.
More from Cameron Steele.
Well, the one thing Robert Dornbos has been struggling with the most here in Champ Car is fuel conservation. And in fact, in yesterday's qualifying session, he ran out of fuel and had to sit and watch more than half the session. Good news for him was his 6th starting position held up all the way through that session that he earned earlier in the day.
And just before we went to Cameron, you heard on the radio L3. That means 3 laps to pit. So we are getting close to where we're going to see some of this first-round pit stop from the leaders. People like Oriol Servia, who came in, obviously, will try and take this opportunity to move towards the front.
On the go, you can follow all the exciting Champ Car action with Champ Car Mobile. Go to www.champcar.ws to download a live leaderboard, wallpapers, and ringtones to your mobile phone. Standard data rates will apply. Bourdais continues to dominate, but this is where the action is, and what a talented rookie class this certainly looks to be in 2007. These guys are going to be fun to watch all year. That's Bourdais in the McDonald's run.
That was Kenny Seawick talking to Sebastian. Again, talking him through number of laps, getting ready for pit stops. There's another reason why Sebastian wants to have a big lead. He has horrible pit position because it's based on your finish of the last event. He's not at pit out like he's used to. If he has a big lead, he shouldn't be around other cars.
Bill Stevens.
Down here with Craig Hampson, crew chief for Sebastian Bourdais. The chess game has begun with fuel management. How are you guys going to play it today?
Well, right now we're actually just kind of cruising. He's making outstanding mileage. We're a few laps away from our first pit stop, but kind of a walk in the park so far. I'm sure it'll get exciting a little later on, but good mileage, car's good, we're pretty happy.
If it stays green like this, 2 pit stops?
Absolutely.
That's a walk in the park at 180.
I was just saying, and he's flying right now.
Yeah.
He is turning some laps just a lot quicker than everybody else.
What's interesting is Craig Hampson reflects what Sebastian is feeling. They are like joined at the hip. Okay, so 3 laps for Sebastian, meaning that he's going to pit later because we heard other people getting that L3 call a lap ago. So he can run a lap longer. And when you see Craig Hampson that relaxed, that means Sebastian Bourdais is that relaxed in the car, and that's a scary proposition.
That's Tagliani in second, then Team Australia. Marty.
Derek Walker's given the orders to both Will Power and Simone Pagenaud. You can go as hard as you want now. Fuel is not a problem. 3 more laps until these guys pit. So in theory, we should see some of the top 4 cars pit all at the same time.
If you're Bourdais right now, the last thing you want to do is stop, right? Because you're in your rhythm. You got it all going.
That's where, at this point in the way the race is going, that's where it can all go wrong, is in the pit. So yeah, you don't want to stop.
Tagliani runs second. Then Will Power, last week's winner. There's his teammate, Simone Pagenaud. Had a chance to talk to him in the paddock yesterday. Very friendly young man. Really excited. Let's get an update on Paul Tracy from Michelle.
I just spoke with Paul Tracy's mother, who is still here, and she let me know that Paul is back at home in Las Vegas. He is resting comfortably, and that he woke up this morning and didn't even feel the need to take any of his painkillers. So who knows? We may see him back a lot sooner than expected.
Looks like Dornbos peeled off onto pit road. So there have been some that have been back in the order.
It's next lap. It's next lap.
Although pit lane's about to get very busy.
I think that was Rob Edwards, so that would be one of the Team Australia cars. Should be in next time around.
Tagliani in that red machine is second. Then Power is third. Pagenaud is fourth. A 1.9 mile, almost 2 mile street course here in Long Beach. Graham Rahal, the light blue and white machine.
And these guys, Jan, are going to have to be very patient when they're in the pits. They've got to make sure that their fuels, when they're putting fuel in the car, that's all sorted out from last week. These guys they've got to get it right. If they come back in, they're giving it away.
And we should take just a quick, brief moments to describe that. The cars are not filling as quickly as they have in the past. The teams know that. They have changed lots of parts in the fuel cell. But for the next 2 races, they'll be a little bit slow on the fill. So Graham Rahal does pull off, as well as Pagenaud and Power. But expect the stop to be a little longer. Marty?
Team Australia pitting together, guys. They will come down pit road, and Rob Edwards reminded them to take things as slowly as they could and be patient here on pit road. Actually coming first will be Simone Pagenaud to pit road. They will get all the fuel in. He wanted no changes to the chassis. Here's what you were talking about, Jan. Being patient, waiting for the fuel to fill up, gets it full, 4 new tires, take it off pit road.
That's on board with Rahal. Looking forward to Pagenaud. Power stayed on the course.
And it was a fantastic angle from Graham Rahal's car. We were looking right down at the fuel vent, and you may have seen lots of fuel coming out of that. That's what the fuelers have to do, is they have to wait and wait. Normally when you see fuel in there, you disconnect immediately, but now they have to stay with it a bit longer. And Sebastian Still's not pitting. That is phenomenal fuel mileage.
And running the quickest laps of the field, the whole entire 30 laps.
Now having to work his way through a little bit of traffic, but with a commanding lead, almost 10 seconds now. Bourdais had all the issues last week at Las Vegas. There's Will Power on pit road, last week's winner. Marty.
And guys, when they asked Will Power about the chassis, he had zero response, meaning he thinks the chassis is just fine, but he's got to pick up some time to beat Bourdais. Clearly waiting on the fuel, once again making sure it is completely full, and he leaves pit road.
Have to be so careful down there on pit road, very narrow. A lot of traffic.
That is a huge improvement, however, than what we saw. Okay, they're calling Sebastian in. But yes, those pit stops were a little bit slow, but wow, big improvement from what we saw in Las Vegas.
Expecting Bourdais to make the trip down pit road this time. Here he comes. Race leader in the pits.
Right on the mark. The car.
Bill Stevens.
The McDonald's team doing their thing. They were concerned about their pit position. They're only 3 spots away from pit in. A lot of contact here when things get crazy, but so far they are clean and mean. Scuffed set of primer Bridgestones replace the red sidewalls, and he gets away with a full fuel cell of methanol.
Slowly works his way off of pit road. Gave up a 10-second lead. We'll be back in a moment with more from the Champ Car World Series Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach after these messages, and Bill Clement with an ADT NBC Sports Update. Our NBC Sports coverage of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach continues on a beautiful day. Here on the streets of Long Beach, Oriol Surya scored as the race leader, but pit strategy really cycling the leaders through the field at this point.
The top 3 are all drivers. When you look at Surya, Johnny, and Gomendi, they pitted early. So it's a fantastic opportunity for Surya to get out there and get some clear running. He's running some smoking lap times at the moment, but unfortunately, anybody who stopped early still has to make 2 pit stops. So there's really not a scenario right now that's really going to work in your favor to win, but he's in clear road. In the end of the day, it's still going to help him.
And he again replacing the injured Paul Tracy, so Surya in the car, Tracy out of the car, watching.
It's just like watching your wife on a date with another man. This is the worst thing a race car driver wants to see. I mean, and I'm sure, you know, Tracy and Surya, you know, are friends and all that, but still, Paul Tracy's sitting there, and he does not want to see anybody else in his race car.
It's Alex Tagliani in that first red machine.
Yeah.
And on board with Justin Wilson.
Now they're teammates, which is, you know, that's the new marriage on pit road between Roo Sport and Rocket Sports, making our sports. And these two guys have been helping each other engineering-wise tremendously, but now the gloves are off. Tagliani's been fast, but Wilson all of a sudden has found some big-time speed after that pit stop.
And they've got Team Australia off the rear wing. Update from Bill.
Something interesting about Justin Wilson last night, quite late, he was still here in his car adding padding to the inside of the cockpit. I asked him why he was doing that, and it had something to do with the fact that Paul Tracy had hurt his. Justin felt as if there was a little bit too much play in his belts and a little bit too much movement in his body when he shifted gears, or there were lots of G-forces on his body. So he added padding to the car to snug him in a little bit tighter.
Thanks, Bill. Let's talk about the strength and endurance it takes to muscle these cars around the track for an hour and 40 minutes, because it looks pretty easy, but it's not.
No, it's not at all. I mean, these cars are brutal. They're very difficult to turn. On the throttle, it throws you back. When you jump on the brakes going into a corner, it throws you forward. And then going through the corners, it just pitches you from side to side. These cars are very violent to drive. If you watch the legs, watch Wilson's legs as they go through the corner, you can see him just moving way over to the right. And, you know, all these G-forces these guys are pulling. Marty.
He said he did not want changes to the car. They're trying to hold him here. This is the patience part we talked about earlier. here. Oriole not used to these new type of pit stops, having to hold him on pit road, wanted no changes to the chassis, even though at the end he had a significant amount of understeer, decided to make no changes to the front wing. With 4 new tires, he's back on the racetrack.
Well, he was running some pretty good times there, Marty. I mean,
yeah,
he was running the 109s
flying
there
well,
right at the end.
Yeah, he was really moving.
Let's check in on today's CDW virtual pit stop, where you, the viewer, try to make the right call. Today's question, who will earn Rookie of the Year honors? Remember, using a mobile phone, text A for Rahal, B for Pagenaud, or C for Neil Jani. Rahal leading that race for now. Graham runs in the 9th position.
They're calling Tristan in.
Around the hairpin there. And on to pit road. He was scored as the race leader.
Get on nice and straight. We're going to go 4 tires and fuel.
But again, Bourdais has been the class of the field.
One thing about the slower fuel, it takes all the pressure off tire changers. I mean, it used to be he got about 3.5 turns, I believe, of front wing, but only on one side. So he must be having push only in left-hand corners. And now, look at this. We got a great battle.
Tagliani looking, yeah. This at about 180.
Going to be tough on the outside.
Whoa. Remember, Serbia just came out of the pits, so he doesn't have his tires. He's a little heavier on fuel because he just took on fuel, and he's really having to work this car, whereas Tagliani and Wilson have been up to speed a little while. They burned off some fuel, and they should be a little racier. So Serbia has the potential of being faster, but somehow he has to figure out how to keep these guys behind for a couple laps until he gets spooled up.
In a car he never sat in until yesterday afternoon.
Blocking would be one way to do it. Now, although they're watching for that.
He didn't know. He didn't know. He held his line, and he couldn't move to the right because Tagliani was trying it on the outside. If I was Alex Tagliani, I would wait, not put myself on the outside, just try to time it a little bit differently and get himself to the inside.
Watch this and check with Michelle.
All right, hey guys, listen, Mario Dominguez, who was knocked out early, came back, went up to the transporter to change, and I was expecting him to be back here in the pit so that I could get an update from him. But the official word is that he went up to the transporter, he never returned, he had left the Long Beach Grand Prix.
Interesting. Tagliani trying to chase down Serbia. Marty, you watching this?
Oh, yeah, I'm watching it. What can you not watch about this? A terrific battle on the racetrack. And they told Serbia when he came off, even though you're on cold tires, if you need to use it, use your push to pass or your power to pass. Pull away from those guys if you can, because we'll need this track position later.
So Serbia has 2 teammates working together behind him, and then Team Australia working together behind them.
Well, I don't know if they're working together. I think they really want to get past each other.
Yeah, but you can see now what we predicted, and that is if Serbia can manage to hold them off.
He's been called the greatest swimmer ever. Catch Michael Phelps at the Mutual of Omaha Duel in the Pool from Sydney. 2 days of coverage next Saturday 2 Eastern, next Sunday 4 Eastern on NBC.
Well, look at notice the tail. And that's what Camp Car wanted to see on with this new car. They wanted to see if these cars could race in packs.
And that's Neil Mickelwright talking to Oriole Serbia, cheerleading. Fantastic job. You've done your job. All they wanted him to use was use the Cosworth power to pass for about 2 laps and build a gap. Because now that he burns a little fuel, gets the tires warmed up, he now should be able to stay in that position. Now, mind you, he still, unfortunately, is out of sequence for pit stops, but that was a fantastic drive for a guy who hasn't sat in the car.
Way to spoil it, Jan. Way to spoil it for him.
Oh, no, but I mean, he did what they asked him to do, and he had some very, very fast guys behind him who had more laps on the tires, and he pulled it off.
Now, this is going on about 18 seconds behind the leader, but this is the race for second. Sebastian Bourdais is the race leader at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. You're watching the Champ Car World Series on NBC. NBC Sports coverage of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach is brought to you by CDW, the right technology right away. And by E-Trade. It's easy, it's extraordinary, it's E-Trade. Spectacular day here in Long Beach, California. 24th running for the Champ Cars, the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Sebastian Bourdais, the race leader.
By a long ways.
17 seconds.
Let's check in with Cameron Steele.
Well, you're just talking about Sebastian Bourdais. He had a great run on the Bridgestone red sidewall tire, which is the alternate tire here. I'm caught up now with Al Spire, the executive director of Bridgestone Motorsports, and you've got to be very pleased with how these alternate tires are working.
We certainly are, Cameron. That first run, I think, just a couple laps before the pit stops, 5 of the top 7 drivers turned their fastest lap, and that tells us those alternates are holding up very well, and it's a very unique compound here. It's debuting at Long Beach this weekend. We're always looking for innovations to improve the race tires, but what's important here is this technology someday is going to go into street tires that'll make better tires for all the fans.
Awesome job by Bridgestone today, and you can hear that. They're very happy with the performance.
Thanks, Cameron.
One thing we should talk about Servia, we left and you guys were laughing. I was spoiling the party about his pit strategy. Right. He is on a different pit sequence.
Right.
However, he only has one more pit stop to make, as do the people that he's running with. So he, yes, will stop at a different time, but he is essentially now running for position. So this isn't a gimme. This is something when he was leading, and we were talking about how fast those laps he was running, he actually made up all that distance that he gave up when he made that early stop. So that's why Neil Mickelwright was cheerleading, because he has really put himself in a good spot.
Tagliani trying to chase down Servia here. William?
Well, guys, Tagliani just got the green light to go after Servia. I just spoke to Paul Gentilozzi again, and the wheels are turning in that pit. They're looking at fuel mileage very carefully. Moments ago, they said to Tags, go for it. Marty.
Bill just checked in with Neil Mickelwright on the Oriole Servia car, and they indeed do have one more stop, like Jan said, between lap 59 and 64, somewhere in there. So they actually are in sequence with everyone else. They think they'll pit at the same time.
See how it all plays out. Servia, then Tagliani, then his teammate Justin Wilson. Tagliani in that red and black machine that's on board with Wilson. CDW ride. Wilson runs in the 4th position, and right behind them, teammates Will Power and Simone Pagenaud. Then Graham Rahal runs 7th. Bruno Junqueira in the 8th spot. Daniil Johnny. And Ryan Diel, the top 10.
We went on board there with Wilson for a moment. It is so fun for these guys now to not have to take their hands off the wheel to shift, have the paddle style shift. And this weekend, the Hewlett engineers that are in charge of those gearboxes gave them some new software, so they're shifting faster each race weekend. They try to fine-tune it, but you'll find it interesting. No driver can have his own program. Every driver has to use the exact same gearbox software, so they don't tailor it to the drivers. They want this series, no driver to have an edge mechanically or technically. You have to get it all out of the race car by what you do behind the wheel.
Tagliani, then Wilson again. That's 3rd and 4th. Bourdais is gone. 17.5 seconds in front of 2nd place Servia. Want more Champ Car race action? Subscribe to Race Director. Just go to www.champcar.ws and choose from 6 different camera angles. While you listen to Team Radio Communications, you can view the live telemetry all on your home computer.
Let's see how Justin
gets through there, or in there, really, really good. But then he loses a little bit off the tag coming off that corner.
He re-grips, but he doesn't do the Graham Rahal, palm in the wheel.
This is the pit stretch here. And down into turn 1. That's where Tracy's crash was in practice. Past the fountain.
Yeah, Justin Wilson looks like he's getting into the corner a little bit better, a little bit deeper than Tag, but Tag seems to be able to get the power down coming off the corners a little bit better than Justin Wilson.
Justin, of course, is one of the veterans, and those that have been in Champ Car for a while, they joke about the paddle shift, that they do say every once in a while in the heat of battle, they do find themselves actually reaching down and looking for the gear shift. It's one of those things. Now, some of the young kids,
black tires, next stop.
And that's when they're trying to tell the drivers in this particular case, you want to get psyched up. You want to let them know what type of tires you're going to have so they can start to get a read on the car and tell them how to change it, depending on if they're going the Bridgestone red or black sidewall.
Under the Bridgestone bridge. That's on board with Graham Rahal. And that's Bruno Junqueira behind him, isn't it?
Stop. Do you want front wing?
You would add front wing if the car is pushing. More front wing, the more grip you get on the front tires.
Here's Bruno. Runs in the 8th position. Running for Dale Coyne Racing. He's got Bruno and Catherine Legg. And really working hard to try and remain competitive here in a real tough series.
And Bruno's been quick, and that was the idea that Champ Car had with the 01. We talked about everybody has the same equipment, same gearbox software, and so on. They wanted to give people like the Dale Coynes of the world who don't have multi-million-dollar development budgets to have the same equipment as everybody else. And the moment that they did that, the Dale Coyne team, they've been working really hard this year on this car, and Bruno Junqueira as well as Catherine Legg at times, they've been quick.
And Catherine Legg tied her career best with a 6th at Long Beach last week. Marty?
And Bruno had a great run last week as well until they had a fueling issue at the end of the race. He still wound up finishing 7th. This weekend they have struggled with problems with the fuel because they would hit the pedal and it wouldn't have full pedal, or sometimes they would hit it and the throttle would stick. But so far, everything's been great in the race for Bruno. He's hung in there. This is one of his best racetracks too. Would love to get another podium today, but he has a long way to go. Bill?
Runs in the 8th position. Everyone is chasing Sebastian Bourdais. He's looking for his 3rd straight win at Long Beach. You're watching the Champ Car World Series on NBC. Our NBC Sports coverage of the Toyota Grand Prix Long Beach continues. Want to thank the city of Long Beach for providing today's aerial coverage. And I'll tell you, this area has it all. You got the water, the beach, the race, the restaurants. Put it on your calendar for next year. Already had some racing here today completed. The Atlantic's on the track, Jan.
And they were not quite as fortunate in the first turn, but they also had 30 cars to try and get through there. Cars getting into the outside wall, but considering they started 30, a couple wings rolling down the racetrack, but an unfortunate moment for Simona de Silvestro. Heavy hit, but she was okay. Rafael Matos in the red and white machine just dominated. Just went to the front, was never headed. Jonathan Bomarito behind, tried to chase him down, but a dominating performance for Sierra.
It's a 50-minute race held here earlier today in Long Beach. There is your race leader. Like being the only car on the interstate.
He is just I mean, he's not having to deal with anybody right now, and his lap times are almost a second faster than the second, third place cars at this moment. So Sebastian Bourdais has just got it going his way right now.
22-second lead over Serbia. Then it's Tagliani, Wilson, and Power. Pagano runs in the 6th spot.
When you have this big of a lead, unfortunately, you have time to think about what could go wrong. You think about, we had some reliability issues in the off-season. They were fast in the off-season testing, but they had as many or more mechanical problems than anyone else, and I think that made them nervous going into Las Vegas. And I've said they have a new attitude here. They're basically just relaxing, and it's going great at the moment for Sebastian.
Let's check in the pit of Dornbos.
Hey, I'm here with Paul Stoddard. You had an impressive transition last week with Dornbos, finishing on the podium, but what's going on with him today?
Yeah, he had a bit of a stall there in the pit stop, and it's cost us a bit of time, but, we've still got 35 minutes to go. Dan had an incident where he went off as well and had to be started, so not one of our better days, but hey, that's motor racing, and as I say, 35 minutes to go, anything can still happen.
Thanks, Paul, guys. Back to you.
Is that Pagano off the track?
Simone Pagano looked like he was head-on into the tires in turn 8.
Full course yellow, and there's the safety crew, Hamatro safety crew, going to the attention of the driver.
But the first thing they're doing, of course our view is blocked somewhat, but they're pulling the car back. So if there was a problem, they would go straight to the cockpit. They're more concerned right now at giving Simone Pagano an opportunity to get back going again. Looks like very limited damage.
And one thing about this safety crew, it's basically the same guys you see every week. Under caution here in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader, but he's about to give back 20 seconds. This caution for rookie Simon Pagenaud has basically erased the 20-second lead held by Sebastian Bourdais. There's the race leader. He heads for pit road.
Solid stop here, guys. Solid stop.
This should be a routine pit stop for one of the all-time great pit crews in Champ Car history. Watch them go to work just like butter. 4 tires. Let's go to Marty.
Well, Bill, meanwhile, for Oriole Serbia, they said this needs to be a very clean and smooth stop, a chance to gain some time on the track. He said at the very end of the run, he was starting to lose grip a little bit, taking a little longer for the fuel. He will erase that huge lead, and I believe hold on to second spot as he leaves pit road.
Sort out the running order as they come off of pit road. Pagenaud getting the tow.
And the reason that they would stay in the pit as long as they did, they want to be completely topped up, because with the number of laps to go, it's a bit of a stretch to make it all the way to the end. And sure enough, Serbia now on the exact same sequence as everyone else is in second spot. Amazing.
Very impressive run. Again, Serbia pinch hitting for Paul Tracy, injured here yesterday. A compression fracture in his lower back after a hard crash in turn 1 during practice. That's Tracy's car with Serbia in it. Finished second in the championship standings back in 2005. Was working with Forsythe, trying to get a ride for this season. They'd been talking. And then with Tracy getting injured yesterday, Serbia got in the car. Up to second right now. Started 14th. And when you go back and think he had that early pit stop, it has been an impressive run.
And what he was doing just there is he used some revs to light up the rear tires to get a little bit of heat into them. But now what he's going to be doing, what he's going to say is, I want you to save fuel and stay in a high gear.
Still under caution. Now, these aren't the only cars that were on the track. Somebody in this booth was in the Champ Car 2-seater experience this weekend. Oh, look at that. What are you doing in the backseat, Jan?
I will tell you, this was a ride. When we got done with this ride, I went to the engineer and got the data. 185 miles an hour down the straightaway. And with the carbon brakes, we did over 2.5 Gs on the braking.
That was awesome. It was great. It's the carbon brakes, as I do. Awesome. It's quite good.
And you know what I was thinking when I climbed out of that car? First of all,
I'm afraid to ask.
Oh, well, first of all, I was glad it's in one piece. But secondary, they're selling those rides for $10,000. And Wally, you know, for a driver, I've driven here in Champ Car, a driver would never pay money to be a passenger. But when I got out of that car, I actually thought if you had an extra 10 grand burn a hole in your pocket and you had paid that kind of money, I actually think it was worth it. It was awesome.
There you go, Marty.
Wally got 10 grand I can borrow? I'll put you in the car and I'll let Jan drive. How about that?
I'm actually surprised you got in that thing, Jan. I really am.
They're famous for being funny, and we're not talking about Wally and Marty, but with no scripts, no rehearsals, and a live audience, will they fall flat or make them laugh? Thank God you're here. Monday at 9, 8 Central on NBC. That's what I say every morning when I see you in the meeting, Wally. Thank God you're here. Coming to get the green this time by. Now, Tristan Gourmande scored as the race leader here.
Well, yes, he didn't pit. So, gets an opportunity. They've changed the points this year to where you don't get a point for leading a lap. So, it's just a case where he's going to stay out. And I imagine that Sebastian was wishing that maybe he had, in fact, made a pit stop.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Serbia's slow off the corner. Serbia's slow to get up to speed.
It's the third car in line there, with Tagliani right behind him in the red machine.
Oh, here we go. Yep, Tag took a look.
That's Tag in the red and black machine.
I think Serbia really needs to get up behind Bourdais. He's got an opportunity here because he's behind a slower car right now. So we'll see if because you really have to put the pressure, I think, on Sebastian.
Yes.
To make a mistake. Marty.
Hey, Wally, no word on what happened on the restart there with Oriole Serbia, but they did tell him about the fuel, that he is good to go to the end. They want him to save a little bit initially, but he will get the green light midway through this run to attack Sebastian Bourdais. best he can.
Well, I don't know if you can wait that long. If you wait that long, he's going to have a 10 or 15-second lead on you.
Yeah, if you're going to attack... Now, mind you, this is an engineering exercise. He would like to attack them, but if you don't have the fuel, you can't.
Bill Stevens.
Oh, what a day this could be for Oriol Servia. And I want to remind you guys, this is the second time in his career that he's pinch hit. Had a back injury, remember, a couple of years ago. He got in there for Bruno Junqueira, who was injured at the Indy 500 and drove for Newman Haas. And now for the second time in his career, he's coming off the bench, and what a job he's doing today.
Bourdais' lead was over 20 seconds, is now half a second.
Interestingly, when the Newman Haas Lanigan team heard that was getting in this car, that's Neil Mickelride again talking to Oriol. The Newman Haas Lanigan team predicted that Oriol would finish, or actually they predicted he would qualify in the top 8. They missed that. Now, funny enough, Oriol Servia is the one they're probably most worried about.
Joe Monday, the race leader. Cameron, you working on this?
I definitely am, and I've caught up with Jimmy Vasser, who's a gambling man. Jimmy, what's the game plan here with leaving Tristan out?
Well, we need 5 more laps of yellow, we think, with the mileage he's making to make it to the end. So we're taking a chance. You know, we're kind of really weren't going anywhere where we were, and you know, Tristan's a rookie. Give him a little chance to lead this thing, get a little experience, and get that pay-by-touch car up there.
All right, Jimmy Vasser, you saw get his final race here last year at Long Beach. He hasn't officially retired from racing, but we haven't seen him in a champ car in a year now.
Doing a good job. He's holding off a pretty fast guy here for the first couple laps anyway.
26 years old.
And they're both French.
Was 5th at Las Vegas.
The first time he got in this car was at Mazda Raceway at Laguna Seca, and he physically, it was so high speed and high G-force, couldn't hang on to the wheel. Just came in and said, I physically don't have, and he's a big, strong guy. It's not like he's a little guy. He fully underestimated the kind of effort that it takes to drive one of these things with this kind of downforce.
You drove an Indy kart at Laguna, right?
Yeah.
You know, coming down off the corkscrew, all through that section, it feels like the steering is broke on one of these cars. That's how hard it is to turn them.
Bourdais runs second. We check with Bill.
Guys, we've been talking about fuel strategy all day long, and you have to admit that Sebastian Bourdais' team has really hit the nail right on the head. But Jan and Wally, you could perhaps talk about the fact that when you've got a commanding lead in a race, you're not going through the debating that the other teams have been going through today, who are trying to catch him.
Yes, except for he doesn't have a commanding lead anymore. He just has I mean, he probably could have a commanding lead if he wanted to. At the moment, he's happy just to... Okay, that's his new mileage target. So he's actually using Tristan to get a bit of a draft, and that's also another way to save some fuel. So he's not in a huge hurry to get by him. But why not just stay behind and save a little fuel?
He's letting him know he's there, though, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to probably take him the next lap or two. But you're right, Jan. I mean, he doesn't have Servia giving him any pressure right now. Right. So he's just, running his own race and conserving a little bit of fuel.
But what, for a guy like Tristan Gamondi, he's doing a great job. Like Vasser said, we weren't going anywhere. We weren't doing anything. We weren't all that fast. But, he's got his bit between the teeth. And it's a great opportunity for him to see what his countryman, Sebastian Bourdais, who obviously is the class of the field, what it's like out there.
Bourdais runs second. Servia is third. And it's Tagliani, Power, and Justin Wilson, the top 6. Junqueira runs in the 7th spot. You can see the time counting down in the upper left-hand corner of the leaderboard. Less than 23.5 minutes to go here in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Now, you know what? At some stage, Sebastian will get a little grumpy. He's been all right for a while, but he's going to start to get a little, at the moment he's fine. But as soon as you see Oriol, Oriol is close. No, that's not pressure. But if Oriol gets just a little bit closer, then it'll change the whole dynamic.
It doesn't take long to run out of patience. Especially when you're following somebody. But you're right. As soon as that car gets a little bit bigger in his mirror, he's going to go by.
Now, remember, Tristan is leading. So it's not like this is a blue flag situation. He actually physically has the lead of the race. He doesn't have to give Sebastian any room at all.
But it might be a good idea.
Well,
but Sebastian is running about a second slower right now than he has been for most of the race. So I don't think he's pushing the button.
That's Tagliani in the red machine, the red and black machine, followed by Will Power in the green and gold. Power won last week at Vegas, his first Champ Car victory. They are trying to keep Bourdais in sight.
And we have seen a lot of examples today that we talked about a little bit in Las Vegas about how this new car, the cars can run close together. And that was the idea of this aerodynamic package, which is, by the way, why the car is harder to steer. It has 5,000 pounds of downforce at 200 miles per hour. That's why the steering effort is so heavy. The cars are not mechanically heavy, they're aerodynamically heavy, but because they have so much downforce underneath the car, now with the smaller wings, they can run closer together.
See how it all plays out here on the streets of Long Beach. We'll be back in a moment with more from the Champ Car World Series after these messages and a word from our local NBC stations. Well, Marty Snyder Fan Club getting together down there before the race. Welcoming you back to Long Beach. We want to thank the city of Long Beach for providing today's aerial coverage. It has just been a spectacular week here. The local residents have been so friendly and helpful. The restaurants have been great, and it's just a spectacular venue for the Champ Car World Series. Second race of the year, and we're proud to be here on NBC. How about this, Jan, huh? Bourdais still behind him.
Tristan Gamondi has actually pulled out a bit of a gap. And I would say that Oriol Servia isn't quite applying pressure yet, but he is definitely in the zip code.
Cameron?
I was just talking to Jimmy Vasser once again about the fuel economy and how far he can go. They're projecting an 81-lap race if it stays green all the way. Well, under current conditions, now remember, they could be telling a story here. They're saying they will have to come in around lap 70. Remember, you can't always trust the person on the timing tower for these teams.
You've got to be kidding.
Well, I think in this case you can trust them because it's not giving anything away because nobody else has to stop. So who cares when he stops?
Phil Stevens.
Down here with Craig Hampson for Sebastian Bourdais. The fuel strategy seemed to have really hung together. What about tires, Craig?
Well, running in traffic like we're doing behind the PKV car really isn't ideal. They're kind of getting some front running time, but they're going to end up like 12th or 13th place. So right now all they're doing is using up our tires because of the dirty air. I think we got a race on our hands with Oriol. I got a lot of respect for Oriol. And basically, I want to make sure we have the best tires possible for the 15-lap shootout that's going to happen once Galmandy pits.
Shootouts, gotta love it.
Remember how I said that his attitude reflected Sebastian's? I got a sense of grumpiness. What do you think? Yeah, I think they're starting to get a little frustrated, you know. He's leading and he's, you know, he's affecting our air and he's affecting our strategy, but you know what? He's leading and he has the right to do that. And you know the reason that Oriol Servia is in second place? He pitted early, was on a different strategy early, and ran by himself in the front, and that's how he gained all the time. So good for Tristan and for Jimmy Vasser.
And Marty Snyder.
And me too, guys. There's no grumpiness down here in the Oriol Servia pits. I tell you what, fantastic job so far. Do you have enough tires, though, to catch the guys in front of you?
Well, you know, I mean, I think that the tyres that we have are just as good as anybody in front of us. Obviously, Bourdais isn't at quite the pace today. Galmandy currently leaving is going to have to be stopping here fairly soon for gas. So we'll see when he stops, and there's nothing holding us up. We'll do the best we can.
How proud are you of Oriol right now?
I'm very proud of Oriol, and you know, very proud of the whole team for recovering. Obviously, you know, devastated by PT having his accident and not being with us. Hope he gets well soon.
All right, currently in third, trying to get back up to the front, maybe past Bourdais.
Thanks, Marty. Let's check in one more time on today's CDW virtual pit stop, where you, the viewer, try to make the right call. Today's question, who will earn Rookie of the Year honors? And Graham Rahal, the popular pick today. Rahal currently runs in the 9th position.
And I don't think we've seen everything out of Neil Johnny. He is a very talented driver. I know they didn't hit the setup, and he's had trouble here this weekend, but that's going to be a closer race than necessarily I think those stats show. I think it's going to be a great battle this year for the rookies.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Be interesting to see how many of them can get to victory lane, too. That's Bourdais in the McDonald's machine. He runs second. Started from the pole, has been the class of the field. But pit strategy has Tristan Gamondi out front.
See if he pops in here. Yep. Sure enough.
And now the race is on. Coming down to the 15-minute mark. Cameron Steele.
Well, you know, they're gambling on the fuel, hoping for yellows. Now they're only going to take 4 seconds of fuel. Essentially, in this flash though, you can see no tires going on the car. Looks a lot longer than 4 seconds, but he's away.
Yeah. That was longer than 4 seconds, but that's how long it took to get as much fuel as they needed.
So Sebastian Bourdais goes back to the lead with Servia 1.5 seconds behind him. The Champ Car family is very close, and we all suffer our losses together. Last weekend, we lost one of our family when Captain Jonathan Graspall was killed while on patrol in Iraq. He was not only a big Champ Car fan, but also the brother of Dr. Jason Graspall, himself an Army captain and a member of the Champ Car medical team. One of the things he loved doing, coming to the races, and there he is at the 2006 Cleveland Grand Prix. We salute him and all of our soldiers. NBC Sports coverage of the Champ Car World Series Grand Prix of Long Beach. This is Paul Tracy in practice on Saturday. Compressed fracture in his lower back. Sees a doctor next week. Could be out 3 months. Oreo Servia in the car when the green flag waves. Oreo Servia worked his way to the front, has led 7 laps today. Rookie Simone Pagenaud bringing out the early caution. And Tristan Gamunde used pit strategy to get out front of Sebastian Bourdais, but when he dove onto pit road, Bourdais, who has been the class of the field, inherited the lead. And he is just having a spectacular day in Long Beach.
Yeah, it just seems like when Bourdais decides he wants to go, he just goes. He just turns the wick up. That last lap was in the 108s, first one I've seen all day, so that car must be working to his liking.
And yes, they were getting, you know, when things are going this well and then you have to follow someone for a while. I mean, we're joking about the whole grumpiness thing, but you know what? That's why Sebastian is good. He's a perfectionist, and is Craig Hampson. As an engineer and as a driver, they just, nothing is good enough. You know, if the track's not clear and you don't have this kind of lead, there's more to be found. And, turn 9 again. Oh, it looks like Figgy. Ooh.
Hard impact.
That's a big hit. Now he's opened his visor. Again, we talked about that before. You do that as a signal to the safety team that you're okay.
The 29 car of Alex Figgy.
That's a big crunch.
And we have gone to a full course yellow. Full course yellow coming out. NBC Monday in 1 week. Heroes returns. They saved the cheerleader. Now it's time to save the world. Heroes returns with all new episodes. NBC Monday at 9, 8 Central in 1 week. So a full course yellow late in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. And Servia is going to be right on the rear wing of Bourdais when we come back. NBC Sports coverage of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach is brought to you by Bridgestone. For drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. And by Toyota, moving forward. Under caution after a hard crash by Alex Figgy. Full course caution here in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. There you see the safety crew going to work and looking for Figgy's car.
Wow. Exactly the opposite of what we saw from Mario Dominguez, who backed it into the very same location. But he got in, had one of the front brakes locked up, and it won't turn. Now, we did see him raise the visor, but the Helmatro safety team now is doing a full extrication. If he's complained of any pain in his back or legs or anything, obviously he was conscious because he lifted the visor. They're going to go through the full backboard, get him out of the car just in case.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys, the safety team here on the Champ Car Series is the best in the business, and these guys do a great job, and they, you know, they want to prevent any further injuries on getting him out of the car, so they want to make sure that if there is something broke, they don't want it to make it worse by not taking the right precautions.
On the go, you can follow all the exciting Champ Car action with Champ Car Mobile. Go to www.champcar.ws to download a live leaderboard, wallpapers, and ringtones to your mobile phone. Standard data rates will apply. So in this series, you see the same safety crews, the same doctors week after week because they travel with the series.
Yes, that's one of the most comforting things when you are in that type of accident. the very first people that you see are all people that you've known, because it's not just Champ Car. Alex Figge came up through the Atlantic Series. Right. So this has been not just this year. He knows all these people, has traveled with them, and obviously they're the best in the business, but also for the driver, you just know right away you're in good hands.
And they not only bring the people, they basically bring the emergency room too with their own truck. Let's check with Marty Snyder.
Well, guys, we're going to talk to Neil Mickelwright. This caution certainly helps you out, doesn't it?
It does. It doesn't hurt us. Obviously, we were looking good on fuel. Honestly, I'm not sure that we've got anything for Bourdais. I mean, he's pretty much in a class on his own today. He's going very well. We're a little bit concerned about Tagliani right behind us, but right now there's about 6 or so minutes left to go in the race. Hopefully they'll get the accident cleaned up and we can have a couple of laps to fight it out at the end.
And if nothing else, you guys are having fun on the radio, joking back and forth like you guys have been together for years.
Well, we try to keep it light.
All right, having some fun on the radio. Orioles having a lot of fun in the race car, Bill.
That's right, Marty. And you know what? You heard them say it all day long from the other teams, how much Sebastian Bourdais has had for everybody. They've had pretty much a textbook race. No adjustments on that race car. The race setup they began the race with is the one they'll end the race with. In fact, the biggest problem today was when they had the problem with the air compressor down here. That's a pretty good day at the races.
Now, I think on this restart, I mean, I know what Paul Tracy would do under this situation. And I mean,
left in the race, just under 5 now.
He's telling there's 5 minutes left to race, but you've got, if you're going to win this thing, you've got to force the issue with Bourdais.
Yes, the tricky part is getting off, and what Neil Mickelwright is saying, getting off the final hairpin, you can only be so close. And the way that Sebastian's car is hooked up, he rockets off of that final hairpin, and I don't care how good of a driver you are, if you don't have the same level of traction, the same kind of hookup, even with cost.
Tire pressures, get them up higher.
And what they do is they can monitor the tire pressures. They were talking to Oriol Servia. They wanted to make a good restart. And the reason he's weaving back and forth so violently, you want to keep the tire pressures up. They can read that real time on their telemetry on the laptops. So he has the best shot possible coming off of that hairpin.
Yeah, because if he spins the tires just a little bit, that's it. He just blew it. So you're right. He's got to get a great restart and put himself in a position where he can try to outbrake or at least worry Bourdais going into turn 1.
Got 1 to go this time by. Marty.
Well, as you guys can imagine, Neil Mickelwright telling him not only to keep the heat in the tires, but also to keep the tires clean. That's why he's also going back and forth, not only to keep those pressures up. Neil was not happy with the last restart. He told Oriol, be aggressive on this one. Just make sure you get a good one. Stay with that one car.
Get the tires up. We are going to, you've got all sorts of fuels. Make sure you...
That's Alex Figge being loaded into the emergency vehicle, waving, giving a thumbs up to the crowd. Now, quickly on the Cosworth power to pass here. Not a lot left for a lot of these guys, especially Servia and Tagliani, correct?
Servia has 12 seconds. Tagliani only has 4. And look at that, Sebastian Bourdais has 47. So Sebastian hasn't had to use it today. I guarantee he'll use it coming off of the hairpin as a defensive measure, so no one's going to be having more power than Sebastian. But I think the real battle, and I think Neil Mickelwright kind of hinted towards that, is the Tagliani versus Servia.
So Bourdais will use it when we go back to green right away?
They'll all use it.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody that's got anything left is going to use it right now.
All right, here with Dale Coyne. Dale, you've got 2 cars in the top 10 and an impressive finish last weekend. How happy are you about how this team has come together?
We got 2 to go, and let's see if we can get the 7th place car to be a bowling pin, a bowling ball, and take out the top 5. We get them both on a podium, so we'll see what happens.
All right, thanks a lot.
He's having fun, man.
Yeah.
That's a great thing about Dale Coyne. I mean, he's here. He's a racer, but he's having a lot of fun.
Coming to the green this time.
Now, there have been occasional bowling balls in turn 1, so you never know.
We had one at the top of the shadow.
Yeah.
Marty Snyder.
Look at Servia. He's all over Sebastian this time.
Under 2 minutes to go in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Sebastian Bourdais has been the class of the field. Oriol Servia.
He's trying.
Nah,
see,
it ain't gonna happen.
The way that Sebastian can get off that final corner is phenomenal.
And Tagliani, he was all over Servia.
Headed for the first turn. 90 seconds
Watch
to go
Wilson.
in the race.
In the red and white CDW machine, he was almost thinking about making a move on power.
On board with Justin Wilson. Looking forward at Will Power.
And Justin's a guy, he will force the issue. If he thinks he has any daylight, he'll put it in there.
And this is it.
Oh, he's got a good run.
Yeah.
He's got a good run right here. Stay with Wilson. Here he comes.
Oh, not enough.
Oh. Tagliani right in front of Will Power, then Justin Wilson. Marty. Check with Marty in a moment.
I'm ready, Bill.
Go ahead.
I apologize. Will Power's had a terrific day. Big shout out to those guys, and they've stayed in the top 5 all day long. Will talk to me about championship. Not so much trying to win this race, but focusing on the championship this year. He set himself in a good position.
Well, I mean, these guys are just all over each other in that last corner. This is going to be it. They're going to have to get it done.
Last lap.
Yeah, there's a lot of zeros on the Cosworth power list now.
Well, here it comes. Here comes Power.
Oh, nice. Oh, very strong.
Off the win at Vegas to 3rd, trying to get a podium finish.
He's thinking about more. He's not just thinking about championship. That was an aggressive move. Of course, that helps your championship. Fantastic after such a dominating performance in Vegas.
So Power to 3rd, looking ahead at Sylvia.
Here comes Wilson, taking a look.
Justin Wilson.
He's there.
Got him.
Justin Wilson in the red and white machine. Tagliani in the red and black car. And it's Bruno Junqueira right behind them. 3 red and white cars and the black car in the middle.
And Junqueira has a little power to pass left. The guys in front of him have none. So Bruno Junqueira may have a shot here.
There's your race leader, Sebastian Bourdais, trying to go for the 3-peat here in Long Beach. Started from the pole, has had an outstanding run. Disappointment a week ago, but not today. Sebastian Bourdais wins at Long Beach.
Well done, Tim. Great drive. Well done, Car 1 team.
And what a run for Serbia. There's your race winner, Sebastian Bourdais.
Donut served?
Well, you know they were disappointed last Sunday and came here probably to deliver a message. We're going to do our best to chase down another championship. So Sebastian Bourdais will head for victory lane. We'll be back in a moment to wrap up our coverage from the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. But first, let's go to New York and Bill Clement with an ADT NBC Sports Update. Sebastian Bourdais has won the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, his first win of the 2007 season, his 3rd win in a row here at Long Beach, and his 24th career Champ Car victory. Here's Marty Snyder.
Well, and Bill, there's the celebration. This team certainly deserves it after the week they had last week at Las Vegas, a struggling week. Sebastian told me it was one of the worst weeks of his entire career. What a comeback, and all the hours this race team put in this week, getting this car ready to come here and try and win their 3rd straight Long Beach race. What a comeback for you guys. How gratifying is that after the rough week you had last week at Las Vegas?
I guess everything that could happen to us in Vegas happened, and here the Magnus car really showed what it could do, and I can't thank these guys enough because really they worked their tails off. They worked probably until midnight last night and woke up at 4 to get ready, and it's just unbelievable the hours that they put, so it's all to their benefits, really.
Tell me about the hairpin on the last restart, and is that one of the most dominant performances of your career?
I think we definitely put on a great show today, but it's true the last restart was a little, you get a lot of pickup, and once you get to that hairpin before the last restart, it's very slippery, so I really made sure I was going to slow down very much at the apex and get a good jump, and it worked out pretty good.
You took the week to drive here kind of to clear your mind. Your guys, however, worked very hard. I know you're proud of them and the effort they put in this weekend.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's all theirs. They worked so hard, and all winter it's been like that. And that panos is not easy to put together, but they've done it.
3 straight Long Beach wins for Sebastian Bourdais.
Car was fast.
Bill.
Down here with Will Power. Well, a win and a podium. Good way to start the season.
Yeah, it was a good way. I mean, on a restart there, something happened to the gears. I couldn't get first, so Alex went past, and then I think Justin got me when we were out in cold tires, so it was a race where we just kept following people. We had the pace. I mean, if we hadn't lost that, I think we would have been able to give Sebastian a bit of a run for his money, but, good on him. It's a good fight for the championship.
Take us back to the beginning of the race, the first lap, the first turn. What's going through your head?
Sebastian went early, which is really good, and he spread the field out to prevent any sort of incident in the first corner. And I wasn't up to sort of screw him over in the first corner. We just went in and just started the race. It was really event-free.
And that's the way we like it. Nice job today, Will.
Thank you.
Let's go to Cameron Steele.
Well, Bill Stevens, the man that really showed that he was ready to go. Unfortunately, Paul Tracy not able to race here today, but Oriol Servia coming with the goods. You've got to be very happy with that day.
Well, yeah, how many times I have to show that I'm ready to go? No, I did a great job, but nothing compared to what the team did. I had to adjust to the car, but at the end of the day, I'm a race car driver. The team had to adjust to me. They gave me a fabulous car, great pit stops, and to be honest, I had pretty big shoes to fill today. I mean, I know PT would have tried in the last restart to go for the win. I tried, but I couldn't do it. I'm just really, really happy to finish second, and I thank very much the team and Mr. Forsyth for trusting that I was going to do the job.
Definitely doing the job today. Oriol Servia, second place.
Thanks, Cameron. That is an impressive run. You were right, Wally. He knew what Paul would have tried to do there on that final restart.
He did a really good job. I mean, you put a good driver in a good race car. He really did a nice job today.
So here are your unofficial results from the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Sebastian Bourdais gets his first win of 2007. Servia driving for Tracy. Will Power, the winner at Vegas. Tagliani lost a couple of positions there. Bruno Junqueira with a good run. And the rookie, Johnny, coming home in the 7th position. There's Graham Rahal in 8th. And on back to Mario Dominguez, who brought out the first caution of the race, impacting the tire barrier.
And Simone Pagenaud there in 14th actually did the fastest race lap of anyone, so he will score an extra championship point.
And we can take a look at the Roche Franz rookie standings after 2 events in 2007. Doran Boss, the leader there. But I think that's going to be a fun race to watch all season long.
We didn't get to vote on Doran Boss, though. Maybe next week.
Yep, you're right. Good point. So Sebastian Bourdais, the winner here. Let's check in with Michelle.
I'm here with Justin Wilson, who finished 4th, a much better finish than last week. What made the difference for you?
Just things started to go right this weekend. We've had a pretty difficult weekend in Vegas and ended up with a gearbox problem in the race, so it put us out, but we're struggling anyway. So this weekend, things are started off steady, but we've slowly improved it each day, getting better, and everyone has worked really hard on this car and done a fantastic job. So I'm just very pleased to get a 4th place out of it, start the season off, and get up there for CDW, because they've been great supporters, and I just want to do well and finish on the podium next time.
Good run today. All right, guys, back to you.
Thanks, Michelle. Jan, it's going to be a fun season. Enjoy it, okay?
It is. It's going to be great. Thanks for being here, Bill. It's been fun.
All right, and I'll see you somewhere down the road, Mr.
Yeah,
D.
pretty soon, I'm sure.
I'm sure I will. A reminder that the Champ Car World Series continues with round 3 next Sunday. That's April 22nd from Houston, Texas, with the Grand Prix of Houston. Coming up next on the West Coast only, it's the National Heads Up Poker Championships. And for everyone else, coming up next, it's your local news. And starting at 7, 6 Central, don't miss an all-new Dateline NBC, followed by Deal or No Deal and The Apprentice on NBC. So for Wally, Jan, Marty, Cameron, Bill, Michelle, our entire NBC race family, I'm Bill Weber. Thanks for taking a ride with us at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, where Sebastian Bourdais continues his pursuit of another series championship with his 3rd straight win on the streets of Long Beach. The series heads to Houston next week, and they'll all be chasing Sebastian Bourdais. Thanks for having us in for the race. You've been watching the Champ Car World Series on NBC.